there's so much stuff I don't intend to happen, and then it just we're shaping the political news. Talking about that, she got me started on the like cherry picking religion thing because, and it's a sex sin, obviously. And that is so true. If God is real, they would be so much bigger than the information that we can currently discern about our surroundings with our perceptions. This whole question of subjective versus objective, is God real? You know, is there a first mover? You know, this is such an intelligent design. It's hard not to believe, you know, the watch argument is such a good one where you come across a constructed piece of clockwork in the woods and you know instinctively this was made by something. That is a scientist trying to convey their wonder at the way that the universe fits together. So it's the golden ratio, that's a mathematician trying to convey that same wonder. At the way they see the universe fitting together, the more they explore it. That was Galileo, that was Copernicus. That were all of these scientists who were like, oh my God, I see how big God would have to be. And they wanted that shared. That's why the book Galileo's Daughter is so cool, because he wrote to his daughter who lived in the nunnery, and she got to just hold on to that wonder in a place of spiritual sanctity and safety. That's the important part of spirituality and religion. It protects, it insulates, it saves wonder and awe. It sets it aside for something bigger than ourselves and says this is bigger than us. We can feel it together, collectively. That's why speaking in tongues is such a deeply passionate and intense type of worship. And there are many forms of worship in the world. I don't think any of them need be the same because we are worshiping that same mystery together, that awe in something larger than ourselves. And my favorite ones are all of the pragmatic, semi-agnostic, or even purely atheist people who go, the thing that's bigger than me is this world and my people in it. And they mean every person. They just mean everybody. Those people are the ones I look up to. I do tend to beautify them a little bit because I think that level of applied philosophy is divine. I think that is what revelation and reason are constantly passing back and forth between each other, is that desire to apply philosophy appropriately to build better lives and better worlds. I had to get religious today because I just deleted the morning prayers video. There always has to be, you know, something religious in there, like true faith. It can't be compelled. You're okay with that? Yeah, we can do that in like a psychic, cognitive sort of way as a group of people, as a community. And we can do it around the whole world when it comes to like values, beliefs, behaviors, and attitudes. But it does take everyone doing it inside first. I always think I'm always reminded of that Chinese structure of family and self within the larger like context of your duty to your neighborhood, your community, your state, your government, your people, and then the gods, you know. And there's this like very obvious ripple motion coming from the person outwards. And I was thinking something with the butterfly effect and chaos theory. And I really feel everyone has these associations. Like I just don't think I'm not special. I think we're pretty average as a person in as far as like things that I've experienced in the world. I think the exceptionality part is my level of verbality or whatever, where I can rebuttal stuff. But like otherwise, I think I've been exposed to like relatively the same things as like the average American person. And I mean like within the context of my privileged positionality, the average Southern American like girl, like not quite white trash, not quite middle class, somewhere in between. Something like that, and just like it's just such a broad group, I guess, that I categorize myself into, and I know that that can be troublesome. But there's so many like different identities that I relate to and empathize with, and I hate restricting empathy or relational like sensations. I love feeling solidarity with so many different groups. I love feeling like, yeah, this is fucked up, and I really believe that that's fucked up, and so I'm gonna do something my way about it. I'm gonna do something that I think will help, but whatever it is, I'm gonna just be committed to that. And I've always been that way, and so I just have this really great trust relationship with myself on the topic. It's still like scary, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, do I trust me more than everybody around me to know me best and to like know what's best for me? And if that answer is no, that's like a problem, right? Like that's not good. You have to trust yourself more than you trust anyone around you to know what's best for you. That's a protective, you know, quality for people, individuals to have. It's important. I don't know. I mean, it kind of reminds me of those experiments they did where they removed the myelin layer on nerves and some animals, dogs, I think, puppies, and maybe, I don't know, this sounds really unethical, right? But it like pretty much resulted in constant seizures. The myelin neurons on dogs, I think. I don't know, that sounds like something really recently that you would think I'd be more knowledge on it. But well, yeah, I'm just a gold banner from Colorado, you know, just out here, got poking along. But anyway, the fucking, where was I? Just building my force, like, yeah, so pretty, it's hard. It's really hard. I should be writing, I should be trying to write more. Like, where's your little, like, there's so many like different identities that I relate to and empathize with, and I hate restricting empathy or relational like sensations. I love feelings out there. Empathy, yeah, generally in the home. I talked about media, some of that's reality, some of it's statistics, but what a large group of people to be prevented from allyship with really important topics by the specter of child sexual abuse, huh?
Oops.
Almost like how all the gays. Well, you can't burn out these kinds of problems. Oh my god, what the hell? You know, you want to talk about rumors, and I'm not saying go persecute teachers. This is not a fucking witch hunt. I like teachers. I like good teachers. I like good instructors. I like good coaches. I like good people who can convey information accurately and well to the listener, like in a useful way, so that the listener can do useful things and be empowered to do useful things with those tools. I admire all of that, and I'm here for it, and hopefully I'm pretty positive. That's really very obvious, and I'm glad. And this is very much not a witch hunt. I'm a witch. Don't like witch hunts. Hate that. Do not like the pitchfork and torch bearing ideals. They're not useful. You can't burn out these kinds of problems. If you could, we would have done it by now. Grow up. This takes talking, it takes sex positive movements, it takes radical change. Bernie Sanders, you on the whole sex worker protections, but that's such an obvious confluence for the labor movement and sex positivity movement to really gang up together, and I'm shocked it is taking so long. It can only be internalized bias and generational trauma and the history of child sexual exploitation, especially in poor communities. God, poor whites, like literally poor white people, I feel, are associated the most with this particular affliction. Some of that's media, some of that's reality, some of it's statistics, but what a large group of people to be prevented from allyship with really important topics by the specter of child sexual abuse, huh? Almost like how all the gays got froze at the mere threat of being likened to the pedos so quickly after their rights were protected and upheld. Alright, we'll let you in, but you still gotta sleep on the floor. I mean, yeah, I guess I do use dog metaphors a lot. I like dogs, they're good. Dogs are good. They are just so, truly, so good-hearted. I still hold a grudge against the misinformation campaign surrounding pit bulls. Yeah, that's really fucked up. Pit bulls were great nannies. You know, the core philosophy of a dog is dogs aren't born vicious. People make them vicious. We domesticated this wolf, the feral wolf, the vicious wolf. We did domesticate it into an entirely new breed. And now, any viciousness in dogs is a direct result of that dog's experience with people. That's a powerful metaphor, or allegory, or whatever meaning you're hoping to find in my words. It's all definitely in there. People are good. Dogs are good. People do good things. When free to choose, they'll make the right choice. When their children are being directly threatened with, like, literal gulag, then they are okay. They're fine. They can be fine. We collectively cannot afford to continue thinking that punishment is an effective form of training behavior. None of us can afford to think that on a personal level, and we can't afford to see it show up in our policies on a global socio-political level. I think, much like the milkman likes to say, it is time to take a walk.
You're killing it, Crusher.
Hug your loved ones. Tell the sunshine you see it.
I see you, sunshine.
And keep an eye out for all those weeds that grow up through cracks.
I love those weeds. Resilient. Stubborn. She knows me too well. Sitting with yarn.
The third very large shirt. So now I have the 4 pants and the 3 shirts and all the undershirts and things and stuff. I was like what? And I hung up on her, I called her back, like we had this whole conversation. And I don't, you know, my therapist asked about it too. She was like, can I ask where you're at with things? Like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. My poor finger just needs like rest and, I don't know, maybe even need to not drink for a fucking day. This know every day, my ability to remember and make connections grows. I do math. I don't know, so I didn't really try ever to even think about Chinese except the way that it came across naturally in my like positive exploration of the world, like my chosen, means of exploring. So as I understood Chinese culture, it came to me through things like receiving gifts from my mom's coworker who brought back a like knot prayer, like a knotted prayer for me because she knew I was interested in Asia. And
Interested in Asia.
it was beautiful. And
That's what they called it when I was growing up.
Young adult life. And I learned about like knots through that and through rock climbing. Like, and then later, more as an adult, I learned about different knots. But yeah, I know. It's a whole lot of is a deeply important aspect of like feminine storyline. So you have like the guarding of the wool and the spinning and catching at the bobbin, and there are all these different aspects that are just like huge iconographic like things in the human psyche, right? Let me tell you a yarn. Sit down by my fire and let's yarn a while. And so there's all this stuff going on, but like if you want to just kind of translate that in an embodied way to a young person, you can just kind of teach them this figure weaving thing, and you get like rope out of it, and it's really cool. I mean, I used to do it just obsessively, and I would just grab any old string, and I learned every possible string type. I'm just over dramatizing that. In this moment, it's like lightly sometimes. It's the pigeonhole of the role for clothing in the sense, within the narrow confines, right, of what I was just saying, about labor movements and people, public opinion, and seemingly publicly agreed upon values surrounding these jobs. This whole idea that we're looking for teenagers is really about entry-level work being a place for young workers, especially when it's at a place where the biggest mistake you can make, hopefully, like, there are really atrocious, tragic accidents in food service, but in theory, the biggest mistake, the biggest harm we can have on the collective economy, well-being of the town, well-being of the state, of the nation. We're not delivering workers that hide our conditions and frontline work unless we've been trained for it, right? So I feel eager to make many of those jobs, but if all these adults are filling those jobs because we have serious, severe income inequality in our country causing a deeply, deeply distressing situation in the job market, and we rely on slave labor, like if all this stuff is going on, that is more of like a pie-in-the-sky ideal sort of, in a perfect world, these jobs would only be for entry-level and for teenagers. So it's not a perfect world, we all know that. So saying that kind of thing just is like this weird smug flex, like, well, this is how it's supposed to be, and if you're not trying to help it become that by like reifying those role attributes, then just fuck like just in this awful way. And I don't see that part much anymore, but the sex work thing, along with a really different but related dimension, seems to be like the thing nobody wants to say is that at some point you're going to stop being hot, and then where is the retirement fund for the sex workers? Where is the job security when your entire job relies on your body? And it's just so ironic that seems to be the implied, again, self-congratulatory, patting myself on the back. I understand economy so much better than you, and I know how to choose jobs better than you. So I should be, and definitely better than whoever's doing sex work, because they shouldn't be investing their entire life in such a perishable item. So, haha, checkmate, atheist or whatever. And you're just like, what? Kind of argument was that? And again, this is the implied argument. I'm putting words to it, but this is the implication. And it shows up in the way that we treat celebrities. Like, she's past 30, so she's basically retired. What the fuck, right? That's for actresses. An actor, I'm sorry. Australia, you have some wonderful male sex workers who are legal and protected by law. I look at your example. Here. But yeah, that also has they've been making some good headway. I like what they've been doing. And really pushing against the mode, right? Against the current, constantly going against the current. And going against the current and saying, yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to come here and enjoy the lasciviousness and the pure, heady, hedonistic indulgence of fully giving into sin. That's the whole pitch of Las Vegas. I'm sorry, that's the whole model for Las Vegas. And so, yeah, I said I was confessing pitch so often. I usually just don't say all this kind of stuff out loud. I keep it to myself because it's like knowing the market. You know, you don't like tell people where. Yeah, but gosh, yeah, that whole like something you're gonna have behind then really be thing is just such a weird. It's like maybe I know this is wild, but maybe the commodification of bodies should include the respective bodies. Like maybe the age and the hormonal cycles and the living embodied experience of the sex worker should play a role in how her work is done, or his work is done, or their work is done.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my god. For real.
That all of those things should be able to get incorporated, and safe practices should be able to be followed, should be the standard. Oh my god, there was this one. I read this book called Brothel a long time ago. It's like a case study on Nevada brothels, and I know, shocker, right? But that sorry, I was trying to completely forget that. But in that series, in that book, she was talking about like one of the brothels that it was like the only one at the time that had like as a standard getting STI testing, and she extensively interviewed the girls and the Johns and got all of this information about the different like experiences with STI testing model, both in a general way, like how is the brothel scene in the community in comparison, you know, like in the community of other sex workers, as well as like just the town that we're in. But then also like how is it seen with the clientele and how is it seen with the workers. And so mostly I saw a huge positivity there. It was just really, everybody felt safer, more confident, more protected. It was just a really positive thing. And you know, I am talking behind the times. I'm sure there's new data, and whoever has the up on the latest brothel stitch when it comes to protected sex work, please let me know. I have not checked into it for a while. I've just been going based off the general vibe in the country, which at the moment is that abortion access is not even available for more than 50%.
Based on
yeah,
vibes, I'm
really,
guessing not
it's
good.
It's a really big room that we all live in, because I have to, because you know, somebody at some point when I was a child told me, we use imaginary quarters, me a lot, here's why, and they told me all about policy and nations and Hammurabi's code and all this stuff. Aristotle's credo really touched me. Sorry, I was Plato's credo about Aristotle, because Aristotle never wrote anything down. He was more interested in just like living and moving. God damn it, I am so Greek. Like just in my thinking. But what was I going with that? Sex work, legal protections, bodies. Oh yeah, maybe our economy should not be based on a model of like what will last the longest is the most valuable anymore. Especially since we're so good at making really long-lasting trash. I just feel like we should be a little more selective and thoughtful about the way that we are considering labor, thinking about labor, and thinking about long-term and short-term, because I definitely think that there is a way for humanity to feel perfect and on top of the world again. And the way of doing that is to do what's appropriate, not what is the most powerful or the coolest or whatever. It's all about appropriateness now. Like, what is the appropriate amount of difference you could really be mining on this earth? I'm sure there's a real ratio. I'm sure you could do the math based on carbon emission and all the other, in the present moment, data points you would need to do that math. You could do that math. And really my frustration is that mathematician. I want to know if all math that can be done to solve problems that we're facing, you know, struggles, and all the ways in which my fellow man is in agony, and I am too, and we are sharing this agony together as a species, and most of it can be fixed by math. And you know, I've noticed there's a growing amount of people who have also noticed this and who are doing a fuck ton about it. So hats off to you, whether you're an artistic creator or a scientific creator, your creativity is well appreciated, and the other types of creators too, who are out there hustling. Please do take a moment to appreciate yourself, because goddamn it, the world is not going to do you justice like that. You have done that since you're very small. They just aren't going to get you the way that you get you. But yeah, meet your demons. Love yourself. You can't solve problems if you're so caught up in how awful you are. Trust me, I know. I've done it. That's speaking from interpersonal experience, but I've done it sales. I've done it sales. I've done it sales all the way up to the global. You can't solve problems. I never really heard of it, but I'm sure it's true. Anyway, live again. Take care out there.
I'm just so repentant when I'm like done overextending myself into the ground, you know? Like, I'm sorry, I'll focus on self-care again. I'm hearing it. I can just tell, you know?
But a huge one is like this, and I'm just explaining what I felt from people sometimes when talking about giving legal protections to sex work and for it being like just a very normal, respectful job like any other labor, because really, like, this is the labor movement question, the labor movement problem. So, you know, talking about it in that context has traditionally been very, very, very difficult to for everybody, because people don't want to treat it like it's a real job. This isn't a real job. They say about the burger flipper and the sex worker. Those things aren't real. I just keep thinking about it and I'm like, okay. So I think part of why, you know, because I feel that. I I felt that when I was younger. Obviously, I know the labor to some extent in my body of both being a burger flipper and a sex worker. And I know for sure that that is real work, you know. So what's going on there? And I keep thinking about like the whole of the role. I know that sounds very lewd, but it's the pigeonhole of the role for burger flipping in the sense within the narrow confines, right, of what I was just saying. This is like my least favorite view of myself. The belly up hunch, you know? It's like solid, just layer of skin. It's just like a lot. Just with the light, because of the weight and the heft of the clouds. That's just like spiders. Ow. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's much better. Isn't that nice?
Do I even talk during this one? Oh god.
Oh my god, I love her so much.
Oh, I do love her so much.
Stay connected and not disconnect. Oh yeah, that's much better. Isn't that nice? It is. I look so good. I'm so proud of myself. I worked so hard for that bodysuit. This is like the third time I've worn this in the last 2 weeks, but I do it so rarely that I can kind of get away with it. True.
Nice. That was good.
Go. Do stuff.
That was a good little dance.
Food. I got your food. Food is good. Oh, I love food. Okay, good food. I have a brain. I did not have any brain. No more brain.
No more brain. I think this is me working up to the next episode, like, because we're going chronologically. I'm compressing all of these chronologically, so, like, the next episode is that one where I read that, like, erotica thing, and I'm dreading recording it, and I was clearly anxious leading up to it, even if I didn't know exactly what I had planned to do, because I didn't really know. I just knew I was like gonna go looking for something. But yeah, I don't know, this episode is fucking chaos. It's just like, look, Pavlova, and like, here's some cool stuff I saw, and these are my notes, which I am showing you. What an intimate, like, view of my life for no reason.
There's like 3 types of custard.
Wheelie Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah, you're just getting... You're getting the full spread, because I recognize the level of uncertainty inherent in casting high. I'm deleting that though. It doesn't need to be on the channel. Snooze you lose if you never got a chance to steal it. Sucks to suck. I'm sure this isn't as bad.
This is not injustice, so this is going to be a super intense episode.
It's probably not as bad as I remember. It just like sucked to do emotionally. I could have made it suck worse, but... Hard mode. Okay. It's gonna be hard to hear, so...
We're going to censor and contextualize ourselves right now.
Don't censor
Everything
yourself.
to that.
Whoa. Don't be that loud, though. Oh yeah, wow, I've recorded over this 4 times before I felt comfortable posting it.
really great social media video about the first follower. And it's just like the dancing guy. I don't know, search dancing guy first.
The dancing guy. I fucking love the dancing guy. He's the best.
So, yeah, this is going to be a rough episode. I'm going to preface this that there's nothing in here for rape and sexual and racial violence and pedophilia, mentioning and discussing pedophilia, the concept as a public health crisis, as a societal issue that needs to be addressed, as it is a public health crisis.
And the societal issue that needs to be addressed.
System injustice. So this is going to be a super intense episode. Oh my god, this is just, it doesn't want to do it. Okay. My hands, they've been they're just cold and I'm nervous. So here we are. We're going to do some pretty wild stuff, but I think it will ultimately have hopefully a positive impact to kind of speak these things out loud, be able to bring them to the light a little bit and illuminate what they can teach us and tell us about kind of just the demons in the room, you know, and that just helps us banish demons. Like that's how this works. So yeah, without further ado, I just had to get some like party lights going on for later because
oh my god, yeah, I had to pull out the fucking rave lights. Rave culture gave me the courage for like deepening intimacy. I don't know, yeah, just like in general as a concept.
I'll carry everything, but enough to keep like one hand usually kind of. I don't know, they just show up. You know, the world is a magical place.
It is a magical place.
We're just trying to talk to yourself. It's true.
I've met so many people who think I'm like,
it's just like not showing up super well.
Like something's really wrong with me because I'm happy, or like I'm happy natured, or like positive, or whatever. Like I've met people who are like, no, something's wrong with you. Nobody can be that happy. And I'm like, I mean,
about some of the like
shit sucks, but
headspaces that people are or have been in. Yeah, I think what I'm prefacing.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do the goth episode. Come on, girlfriend. I know you're so nervous. Oh my god, yeah. Wow. This was so hard to record. Everything inside of me was like, don't do this yet. Wait. Just wait. Just like wait for your moment and then take the cut, like, you know, when you're at the height of your like good day, good headspace. And I was like, no, fuck you, I'm doing it now. And I did, and it was just it was brutal. I don't know why I decided to do that. I was like, no, we have to get this out. It was almost like, yeah, it was kind of like,
and I found a piece of work that,
oh, here we go. It was like when Atmosphere said, truth is,
this is going to be
smells disgusting because it comes from deep inside you or something like that.
I think the things that I would like to highlight in our culture. And I found a piece of work that it truly illuminates the things that I would like to highlight in our culture.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing this
These
at
are
double the speed.
Late.
I don't think I could do this at single speed. Speeds, not again.
Well, I'll tell you what to say afterwards.
Ugh. Fucking. Just
Hopefully, I won't do enough 15 minutes, and you have potentially been just for bored waiting. And now I'm gonna get started. Okay.
Oh god.
John couldn't have been happier. He just spent a wonderful time with his family at the beach. It was these bonding moments that made life worth living. They had just foreclosed on their house, a new position at work that came with a substantial raise. There's nothing better than being the breadwinner and supplying your family with everything they need. Yes, life was good. As they walked down the path towards their car, my youngest daughter saw an ice cream shop. She looked up at me with those large blue eyes and with pleading looks said, "Daddy, could we get some ice cream? It has been such a wonderful day, and it is hot, and it would."
Oh, I did that for me. I turned it into a
Sure,
computer voice
she
so
was
I
growing
could
up at
handle
12. Her
it.
hips were starting to fill out, and the development of breasts was not far away. She had a light tan that only accentuated her preteen body, but she still held that innocence of a child. I wanted her to hang on to that for as long as
Oh
possible.
my god.
I
I
gave
don't
her a
know.
big grin.
I don't know if we can do it though. Even with the robot voice. I'm pretty sure I dropped the robot voice, but like God, this was almost too much.
And long loose curls of light brown hair, she still could make my heart beat faster. It was very evident where my two daughters got their beauty from. Daisy shared her mother's hair, but my oldest daughter had straight, long blonde hair.
I realized around this point that I just had to start taking it a little bit more sincerely in order to get through the reading.
Not at all that impressed to be out with the family. She stood there with her arms
I was
crossed
like, I can either keep doing this Microsoft Susan thing. Oh, sorry, Microsoft Sam thing.
Like most 16-year-olds, she really wanted to be at the mall hanging with her friends. She had spent most of the time
with her friends.
With sunglasses on and lying on a beach towel, she reached more than one look. She attracted more than one look. Not only from boys her own age, but older guys too. I had to admit, with her pretty eyes, long, lean legs, and slim waist, I could see what they saw in her. But I am her father, and I can only see her as my loving daughter. Come on, I won't kill you to have one ice cream. You may even like it. Ha ha ha. As I gave her a wry smile. Without a word, she emerged by me a look of defiance and then disappeared into the store. Daisy grabbed my hand and pulled me into the store. My wife followed behind. I could have sworn I heard a little snicker. The store itself was a little off the beaten path.
I feel like so many people know this story. Like way more people than...
The windows and doors had shades over them to keep out the heat. When we entered, the room was cool but also dim. There was a lot of people in it. Another mother and daughter and a gentleman with a suit on, with jackets over the back of the chair. Behind the counter was an elderly Asian fellow. He smiled at us as we came in. I think he was just happy to see new people. By the sad shape of the place, I'd imagine he didn't see too many customers.
That was good.
I really could not do this ice cream entry scene with any sincerity.
Oh my god, I know. I love ice cream too much.
The woman in the corner screamed, and as I turned around, I saw her clutching her 6-year-old daughter to her chest. The fat man's eyes were wide, and he carried an expression of shock. As I continued around, just behind my wife and daughter, 4 men came in brandishing guns with nylons over their faces. Even with the nylons, it was pretty easy to tell that all 4 were African American. The first one yelled, "Everyone, don't move." Gloria and Chastity, I don't think could have moved. They seemed cemented in place.
Gloria and that Blurry, by the way.
The 4 thieves spread out into the room, swinging their weapons back and forth in a menacing way. These were not young punks going out for the first time. These guys had done this before.
They had done this before.
And that means you too, Jackie Chan. As he pointed his gun directly at the old Asian fellow. Nobody doubted his sincerity, and in unison we all dropped to the ground. I heard both my girls whimpering. Gloria said softly to Chastity, "Shh, sweet, it'll all be over soon." Daddy, what's going on? I heard Daisy say behind me. One of the thieves kicked me in the side and dropped.
It was not over soon. It was not over soon.
I guess she was starting to understand the gravity of the situation. I love how many times you're telling the little girl to shut up.
That was a fucking lie.
People walked around the counter and you could hear him opening the cash register. The other 3 were slowly pacing the room. I imagined that they had their guns trained on us. One of the 3 said to no one in a very calm voice, "That's right. Nobody needs to be a hero. Nobody will get hurt." It was then that you heard the cash box being thrown to the ground. "This is it. This is fucking it. Hey, old man, where's your money?" Through broken English, all you could hear the old man say, "That's all. That's all." Fuck. The apparent leader slammed his hand on the counter. You heard shuffling the sleigh paws, and the old man gave one painful howl. I think the leader kicked him. How much? What did I ask? 30 fucking bucks.
30 fucking
Oops, I was supposed to fucking...
30 fucking bucks.
I was for sincerity
30
there.
fucking bucks.
Growing as a voice actor, and this is the first time I've ever slur out loud on purpose. One time I was trying to shorten it, and that came out of my mouth on accident, and that made me feel really shitty. But there was this time period.
I took 4 takes so I could take out the slurs.
And I was just
I did a perfect
I
first take.
I can't.
I forgot.
My literature teacher's tried to make me read stuff, and I listened. I don't know. That was good.
Okay.
So I was not. I guess I'm gonna have to go over this again, but I suppose this is the contextualization part. I was trying to push myself in the reading of this because I think it's important for the visceral quality of it to come through, and I'm gonna continue recording it. But one thing I learned about my latent biases, if I do allow slurs to come out, is that it's a lot easier for Asian slurs to come out than it is for Black slurs, and that is a quality of racism under colonialism, and especially versus racism, where almost everyone feels it to be more acceptable to act in pejorative or demeaning manners towards our Asian community members than it would be for Black and Indigenous folk. And the reality is that the types of racism that our Asian friends face is different, but no less violent. So it's just a insidious sort of permissiveness, and I just want to call it out and say that I'm sorry, this sucked to read, it sucked to say, and I will not be saying slurs ever again. I fucking well, Jesus Christ, actors that do it, right? That's half of my...
I say as I take the Lord's name in vain. That doesn't count to me.
And then try to embody those processes, and then we leave. That's how I talk to myself. So yeah, I guess I'll be re-listening to this around the 23rd mark to properly censor. But thank you for letting me pause here. And maybe it's important that we take a little bit of a breather in this storytelling, right?
Yeah, dang. Okay.
Money. There was an uncomfortable silence. The leader here's more Asian racism. He has a whole mattress full of money, I bet. Who's hiding that money? He had a whole mattress full of money. How many? It was an uncomfortable silence. The leader was thinking, "Everybody sit up now." Sorry, stand up. Everybody sit up now. Like puppets, we all sat. Having a new connection, we all looked at each other. All I saw was terror in everyone's eyes. The leader looked at each of us. Other than the fat guy, we were all in bathing suits. I had a pouch that carried a little money, my wallet, and car keys. The leader saw the futility. He pointed his gun first at me and then the fat guy. "You give me that pouch, you have your pockets." Oh yeah, it was a direct, you do this, you do that. My bad. I unhitched my couch and handed it over. I saw the fat man nervously fumble around.
I heard couch. I unhitched my couch and handed it over.
He surveyed his pickings and did not look impressed. Jesus, there's not even $100 here. It was hardly worth our time to come here. He looked at each of us as though he was contemplating something. You know, boys, if we can't get a payday, I'm gonna get something out of this. He looked directly at my wife as he was talking. Both Gloria and I knew exactly what he meant. Gloria looked over at me with pleading eyes. She could see the helplessness in mine. Her expression changed as she accepted her fate. The leader grabbed Gloria by the arm and moved her to a standing position. Not knowing what was happening, he screamed out, "Don't hurt my mom." He looked over at Daisy with a Cheshire cat-like grin. "Don't worry, little girl, I won't hurt your mommy." He turned his attention back on me. "Hey, fucker, I thought I told you to keep her quiet." I looked back at Daisy, put a finger to my lips, and motioned for her to be quiet. She slumped back and remained quiet. I looked back to Gloria. The big brute had her at arm's length and was looking at her up and down. "What do you say, fellas? We got shit on this job, but I think we can take it out in trade. This little white chick is a piece of me. I bet she can... I don't want to say... I bet she had... Oh. Because I said the same one, I've never said these out loud. I hate it. Yeah. Hey, I got it this time. Good deal. The others chuckled. They slipped in there. When remarked, "Sounds good as long as I
Could
see
you
this.
watch
So
it?
we are all going to get a chance." Gloria just stood there, expressionless. The leader looked at her and said, "Look, bitch, I'm gonna fuck you no matter what. If you just want to lie there, I really don't give a shit, but you might as well enjoy it too." One of the gangsters took up the position after... Honestly,
The gangsters. Not the
Then I heard the ominous
gangsters.
click of the door being locked. As the door was being locked, another gangster turned the sign over to say it was closed. There was no hope of being rescued. We just had to play along. Gloria had a cute blue two-piece bathing suit on. The leader tore off his nylon mask and leered, leered at Gloria. He handed his hand and forced her back onto one of the tables. I found that transition really difficult. He took them in his hands and forced her back onto one of the tables. Without a struggle, Gloria
obviously.
all the leader took his rough hands and almost wore the bikini bottoms right off of Gloria. He continued to touch her breasts, then leaned over and took one of her nipples in his mouth is what he was right. He settled on her for a while and then
Literally, always these
Gloria gave
stories,
her a voluntary shudder. Her eyes
it's
closed and
like
she was retreating to a place that was
nipple and mouth
After
to
18 minutes of administering
penetration
directions, he
immediately.
went
It's
to
so
one
ridiculous. I'm like, who wrote these? Who wrote these? They were children, right? Like, and they've just been hanging around
He brought his
the
hand
net.
Gloria's
Like,
head.
I
He
don't
started
know.
rubbing her clit with his fingers, then inserted them into her vagina. Holy fuck, boys, this chick is fucking turned out and she's wetter than hell. I guess she can't wait to have my black cock biting her juicy cunt.
Okay,
While he
to be
kept
fair,
rubbing my
this
wife's
one
clit
was
and
actually
playing
pretty
pool,
well
he took
written.
his butter
Like,
hand and undid his pants
overall.
and let them fall to the ground.
It's
I'll have
just
to
the
10th cock. All I could think of was how I
motifs
couldn't
that I
compete with that.
question.
I looked at both of my daughters. They both looked like they were going to cry, but oddly couldn't look away. I
Oddly.
was mesmerized, you know. It was then that he placed the tip of his cock at the entrance of my wife's pussy.
Wow.
The mistakes in this are so interesting. Even so slowly, he pushed... Because it's
The
so well written.
mistakes
Like,
in
the
it
way
are
that
really
it has mistakes is
interesting.
almost more obvious because of how well written this little piece is. Ever so slowly, he pushed it in until he had it jammed to the hilt. He had the look of rapture, his eyes closed and his head thrown back. "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, your pussy feels so good." He started to pump his massive meat in and out of my wife's pussy. Gloria's breathing started to become ragged. She looked at the man who was fucking her. Their eyes met. In between thrusts, she managed to get out, "Please don't come in me. I'm not on the pill." His only answer was an evil smile. He started to bring the tempo of his fucking faster and faster. You could see the glistening of my wife's juices all over his black cock every time he pulled out. He grabbed my wife's hips, and on each thrust in, he would pull back, trying to impale her on his 10-inch monster. Gloria grabbed her ribous form and dug her fingernails into them. Her eyes closed, her face flushed, and her breathing matching every thrust. He fucked faster and faster. He was groaning. Every once in a while, he would mutter, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah." Suddenly, Gloria's eyes snapped open and looked at me. Her eyes half shut, bored into my soul. She mouthed words, "I'm sorry," and with that, she screamed out. Her body lurched in a spasm. She experienced an earth-shattering orgasm. Just at that moment, he gave a final push into her cunt, and you could see his cock swelling as he dumped all his cum into my wife's fertile womb. There was sweat on both of their bodies, and as they parted, they both relaxed noticeably. My wife's eyes remained closed, and she remained that way until her breathing came back to normal. The boss took a step back, pulled his pants up, looked at his friends, and said, "Fuck, was that good? She fucks like a demon." He looked at me and smiled. "She's fucking good now. All she's gonna want is black cock from now on, and just think, in 9 months' time, you'll be looking after my baby." He gave a rapid laugh. Gloria lay there with her legs open, waiting for the next guy. I looked around to see who was going to be next. That is when I noticed that they all had taken off their nylon masks. The leader looked around. "Who's next?" A bigger fellow stepped forward and handed his gun over. He first looked at my wife with her legs spread open, awaiting the next guy. He stopped, looked about the room, and his gaze fell upon Chastity. "You know what? I feel like some young pussy." He leaned over and roughly brought Chastity to a standing position. She shook in her grasp. Oops, I think he meant his again. Or did she mean? Sorry. She shook in his grasp. Gloria looked over and pleading, "No, please no, she's only 16. Come over here in front of me and settle me. Have her baby." The big guy chuckled. "Why the fuck would I want your fucking used up old cunt when I have this fresh little one? I won't get
It was an
opportunities
error.
to fuck a teenage
It was
white
the
girl.
wrong
I spoke
gender.
up. Please, we'll do anything. What do you want? I'll get you money. Please don't do this. There ain't nothing I want from you. You're just gonna have to watch me fuck your sweet girl's pussy. If she's anything like mommy, I'll have her coming in no time." He pushed her back to the table. Okay, I'm not gonna do this. Yeah, I gotta stop. It's too much.
Yeah, I'm glad that
needless
I
to say,
cut it off
yeah.
before I started
I mean,
explicitly describing a rape of a minor.
Of ensuring a lack of class solidarity between people of color and white women. But oh my god, this is fucking why. This is a huge I can't. Bang bang. I'm sure you can see where this is going. And all this dirty black man
The
fuck the
fear-mongering.
innocence out of the white girl, and then right now, Daddy gets to fuck his 12-year-old daughter, which is apparently what he always wanted. It's really disgusting, and I'm not gonna subject you to a full reading. Mostly because I can't. I don't think I can continue reading that. I could get through the first little bit because I can vibe with cuckoldry. I can get into impregnation fetish. I can understand race play. There are themes. There are enough themes in this opening that I can be like, okay, I can kind of suspend my least favorite parts and understand this within the context of what it is. Still don't like many of these parts, but I understand it as like us being human beings. But after that, that's where I'm like, oh, this is monstrous shit. I can't do it. And I wish I could analyze this better for you, like from a literary perspective. Because really, it's so formulaically perfect as far as stereotypes, like I don't want to say stereotypes. I don't want to use like a science word when I don't mean this in a science way, but like the scene. What's going on in the scene here is that Asian men are pathetic unless they are useful. Oh, propaganda, right? Yes. So this is just like straight up erotica propaganda. But erotica is a really powerful form of like moving people. I know I've mentioned before that it's my favorite form of porn. So obviously I'm going to start off by analyzing some of the worst shit you've ever heard. But it's when it's written well, it can be very evocative. It can be very
This is not
vivid.
some of the worst shit anybody's ever heard.
Of course, that enticing strangers. Sorry. Oh God, coercion. Yeah, I mean I do have coercion kink a little bit. But it's more about never mind. We're neither attempting to shame me or force my kinks on you.
This is a safe space.
You make your reader to vividly imagine something through the sheer poetry of your words. That's a power. And so you're seeing this ultra powerful yet and having everything in the world and having just like the most beautiful family and wife and life and they're on the beach and you got a promotion and they're gonna go get ice cream and he's just like, world best dad mug. He got the American dream. What a big offense, it's in his yard. He's got it going on, but at the same time he's just American great fellow, right? Like he is almost like circumscribed by his own power and powerlessness and he's willing to do anything to sink as deeply as possible into the innocence of his children at the expense of his children. The author is anyway. And since it's written in an I, Gary Stu, so do I. John. And if that doesn't feel like average American white Gary Stu's of being the average American white man, I don't know what is. So this is pretty fucked up shit, This is violence. And you see these themes, of course, over and over in our porn, everywhere. I started with erotica because it was evocative and easy, but and also because of how old this story is. And I'm sure everyone's noticed the way that the categories work. It's just so formulaically easy to see this relationship that is being built between the animalistic, dangerous, rapist, out of control black man who probably also does herself correctly, doesn't dying in fentanyl epidemics, the slave trade, raw black bodies to plantations and other forms of slave labor in America. Right now it's mostly prisons, all the unpaid labor, all the invisible labor.
Day laborers.
In the Asian archetype of the story, you see that Asian man pathetic unless useless, otherwise better dead. Domination behavior of the North Pacific Railroad was built on the bodies of Chinese men and the internment camps. This is violence. The intermixed is violence. Taking all psychological warfare is violent.
Yep.
I'm looking at the end of this. I kind of scrolled to the end of this piece, and one of the last, floating all on its own quotation says, "It only feels good with you." Correct, right? Since dying in fentanyl rapist, out of control black man who probably also does herself correct, right? Since dying in fentanyl epidemics, the slave trade, raw black bodies to plantations and other forms of slave labor in America. Right now it's mostly prisons, all the unpaid labor, all the invisible labor. In the Asian archetype of the story,
warp for no
you see
reason?
That Asian man pathetic unless useless, otherwise better dead. Domination behavior of the North Pacific Railroad was built on the bodies of Chinese men in the internment camps and the coal mines. This is violence. It is. Intermixed is violence. Taking all psychological warfare is violent. I'm looking at the end of this. I kind of scrolled to the end of this piece, and one of the last, floating all on its own quotation says, "It only feels good with you."
Ugh.
Of course, my heart is pulled. I want to read the context. Oh, he's in his 4-year-old daughter's. Oh, right now. That's great. I needed to read that. Totally gross. Wow. Actually, it only feels good with you. To want to be affirmed so much by your children that you are willing to sacrifice your children. To want to sink so deeply into their innocent love that you will sacrifice that innocent love.
Yeah.
That is generational wound. That is generational trauma. And outside of this pedophile erotica, pedophilic incest erotica, outside of this thing, that exists everywhere. Like the environment. You see that same betrayal in the environmentalist movement. Okay. That same horror that our fellow man could betray us like that. And of course, one of the parts that's most horrific about this specific thing is how hot that part was when his wife is fucking the gangbang leader, right? That was just genuinely a hot moment. I got into it enough to actually read it, which, and there's parts that's what I'm talking about when I say this is really well written. It's really formulaic and it's really reinforcing some deeply, deeply negative and problematic ideology surrounding racial categories within the context of systemic oppression and intentional violence, which has been perpetuated and is the American people are totally being targeted by propaganda campaigns designed to keep them from solidarity movements with one another.
Yep.
And the form of erotica is a very powerful one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel confident. Like isolation is love, like real love, like willing to heal generational wounds kind of love. Solidarity movements are built on care. It's not something you do alone, you do this together. Collectivism is hard. Most people experiment with polyamory when they're trying to figure out collectivism, it's quicker.
It's true.
I really wish this very first take had been muted, the one with the hoodie. It was the best take. It was only 30 minutes long though. Maybe I wasn't allowed to be that fire. Cool. To be honest, this isn't the first time I've seen this probably.
Man, that was great.
I've definitely seen stories like this before. This formulaic vodka.
My memory of it
No,
is
it's the first time.
definitely
Like,
about how I
incest,
felt
porn,
when I was
and
making
rape
it,
and
and not
porn.
about how it
Just based on
actually
fanfiction I've seen,
was.
right? I know it's a drop of podcast. Oh my god. The people, never mind. I do think we can talk about these things in a way that doesn't involve continuing to perpetuate cycles of violence. Which starts with destigmatization. I've seen examples of it in recovery treatment programs, in the ways that different systems in our communities approach and treat public health concerns. First responders, first aid, frontline workers. And that includes social ills. I think one of the most horrific things about colonial violence has been the way that social ills have been treated with pejorative. Social ills, as far as like addressing it as a public health concern, has always been contextualized in a authoritarian, violent way. That's what I was trying to say. The social ill, quote, quote, of homosexuality, leading to conversion therapy programs and teenagers being kidnapped and tortured and sexually assaulted, definitely. Yeah, I know how many people out there thought, oh, maybe we could just fuck the gay out of them. I think we all know. Rape is about violence, it's about domination. When I say gay, I mean happy. Like, it's about power. Pleasure, activism. But apparently what's even more powerful is having your 12-year-old daughter tell you it only feels good with you after gangbanging around with very large black men, so that's cool. Anywho, if you see themes of this showing up in your life, which I'm sure you will, because this is just systemic colonial oppression in raw dog and form, I know we're not comfortable, but we're here now. Please take a breath, take a breather. I'm a huge fan of touching my own sternum. That really helps. Drink some water. I put salt on my vegetables today. I was told not to do that because it ruins the nutrients, but I figured I had earned some salt. I love salt, personally, and yeah, I got some broccoli and some carrots, and I ate that with some rice, and it was the best thing ever in this world. It's only like my favorite. Just one of my favorite meals. Simple but good. Yeah. And let's see. Any other recommendations for self-care after this? Cry. If you need to cry, I've cried so much for so long preparing to do this episode. Rice is honestly, I have cried thinking about all of the children who have been sexually abused and who are currently being sexually abused, because I know that this is a systemic endemic problem. It's fucking everywhere, and it's a generational cycle. It's being passed down. And as much as I'm seeing rapid change on this front, thanks to sexual revolutions and destigmatizing and taking shame out of sex and sexual education, I also know that that is a privileged experience that I've had and that I've seen that there are plenty of places in my country and in this world that that's not the case, even in my state and in my neighborhood. So I think it's important to bring these things out into the light and to start talking about them, because really what I see when I look at this is some sophisticated, at the time it was built or at the time it was made, propaganda to reinforce certain types of real life historical violence in a new digital setting. I'm pretty sure this is a 10 or 15 year old story. And so I think this is a particularly interesting, deeply devastating document in its own way. When it comes to thinking about how many people have been exposed to this or to things like this, and what it helps them build about their beliefs, about themselves and about each other in a diverse and ever-changing world. This trying to think if I have anything to add. I feel like I've said most of it. Yeah, I mean, after his daughter is like, it only feels good with you, he's like, I erupted like I've never come before. I felt load after load. I couldn't believe I was capable of coming so hard and so much. It was nirvana. I was in total bliss. I was totally unaware that I was screaming in pleasure. It was like it wasn't even me. That kind of writing is giving any white man reading it permission to fantasize about it by describing the orgasm with such loving detail. This is anything that messes with your coding for any of those 4 Fs, right? The feed, the fight, the fuck, the flight. Anything that nudges you to flight, anything that entices you to fuck, anything that reminds you to feed, and anything that eggs you on into a fight should be considered pretty carefully. It's hard because I love being egged on. And I think more than anything, that's what parents are trying to teach their children during these developmental years. Right? Like, be careful about the ways that these aspects of being human are going to be. The people who've read this, showing up in your day-to-day life, things on the internet like it, or seen things like it. Think about kids saying stuff like this. And I think about how much it impacted them. Because I know how it impacted me. Think about how it impacts me. These things never stop impacting us. We just grow around them and change, hopefully. was thinking about this a little bit this morning within the context of porn addiction.
I will share one last thing, just to leave on a happier note here. You know, during my sleuthing for
Oh, this is good. Oh, wait.
good erotica, upon which I found this particular piece, I found another one in a more lighthearted way, where our main hero character was he was a little bit obsessed with the feet of the women that he was sleeping with, and it was interesting.
It was cute, honestly.
The care that was taken in describing the wrinkles on the feet of the eldest woman was truly beautiful.
He took care to describe the feet of all the women. And it felt like you were his fingertip. Isn't that like the writing of it?
That's one of the things that's so interesting about many of these stories, and especially, I don't know how to categorize them, but there's a certain pattern, and I've seen stories like this.
There's a certain type of good, a certain
One
form
of
of
the themes
good.
that I've noticed is the genuine pieces that shine, really shine. Like the writing is good and it's evocative enough to capture you. There was thought in this, there was care in this.
Intention, at least.
Intention went into making it.
Hey. It's like I have some kind of
And it took me a long time to figure out what I felt that meant. Or maybe just why the pieces that shined to me really shined to me. I'm like, okay, well, add cuckoldry to my list of interests. I don't know about gangbangs.
Oh my god, we're not listening to me ramble. Oh my god.
And
Sure.
I love that for her. I was like,
That's cool.
Good
Good
for
for
you.
you.
And I hear stuff like that a lot. I was like, dang, like people really be going off. I have a lot of friends and experience in the kink community, and history with the kink community in some ways, and stories. I'm always just so pleased.
I love positive kink stories.
The way that people are positively and safely exploring their horizons in sexual living intimacy. So,
Yeah, it's just this
but oh yeah, sorry, I'm off into total
misdirect mode because I don't want to talk about how I feel about gangbangs, which is so valid. I don't have to talk about it if I don't want to.
But I'm always wondering, you know, is that the misogyny in me? You know, do we all have internalized like misogyny and racism and all of these things? Mine is definitely it's like the Asian rap is to say, see what I mean? Yeah, the whole about racism was that it's different. Like the flavor of racism is different.
I was trying to say, like, in an academic way.
So, like, there's this whole thing about the Asian
Minority.
stereotypes being like minorities or something. I don't know. Either way, yeah, like all the negative stereotypes, like, oh, you're sneaking. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. I'm not getting into this. I think we have better ways to center down. Yeah. So, where's it going with that? Gangbangs. Oh yeah, internalized stuff. I'm always like, is it my internalized misogyny that makes me think I wouldn't like a gangbang? You know, which is why I think of that woman. They're just she's like, you know, I feel like getting fucked like a lot. Let's do it up. I was like, dang, that's some liberating sounding stuff right there.
Yeah, my favorite part of that whole story is when the adult woman came. That was the best part.
Internalized misogyny. I'm not sure. I'm always like, well, never know until I try. But I think if it was internalized misogyny, there'd be associations of gangbang for me that were like being used and abused, kind of lots of sperm, like just drowning in sperm. And so those are kind of the themes, right? And the general reason that I would see internalized misogyny in that would be that like not wanting to feel used because I feel old, and feeling old and used is like one of the least fun feelings. And of course I only feel old because being a 30-year-old woman is basically being dead under a fake culture that enjoys fucking its children. But you know, it's fine. So maybe for my 40th birthday I'll treat myself to a gangbang. Just keep the spirit alive. I don't know. I was planning one decade out, but usually I don't share the plan, so we'll have to see. Anyway, this was a good gothic episode, I think. I am pleased with how this came out, and I hope that you are too. I hope you stay tuned. We will continue to
Be goth and do crime.
have these conversations, I guess.
I mean, yeah.
Shut the stigma.
I'm so obsessed with applying harm reduction tactics to psychological social ills within the context of treating it like a public health crisis. Oh yeah, harm reduction is the best. But there's so much stigma associated with it. Too bad it's so racialized.
No, I think it's just kind of tragic. Like, we really do live in this super Puritan society. Like, American Puritanism is just world renowned. And there's this implication, or this, like, intentionally reinforced association between purity culture and wealth. And you see that coming up everywhere. But I think there's really no better place to pinpoint and then also have these discussions than porn. And so again, I am going to say that we need
just
to
the
really
data that Pornhub collects about end users is so useful as a thermometer for where we are with our social struggles.
And I just say them over and over anyways.
But we have so much stigma associated with it. No one's using it that way.
I figured if I ever anger people too much, someone's gonna cut my tongue out. That's
Probably.
It's my goth thought for the day.
Think a
It
lot
feels
about it.
very likely sometimes.
Like what that would feel like is not my
To the
tongue.
point where it almost makes me want to do like body modification surgery and get one of those split tongues just to feel a little bit more like
Ownership of my own tongue.
I literally did one.
Yeah, I did have a one. I got that feeling.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel good. I feel good that we're talking about this. because one thing that I think it's really hard for most groups who aren't white men to do is to empathize with the white man. But with this kind of violent reinforcement of generational harm, I also like have to kind of just pity somebody who has to live in these sorts of spaces. Like, and not like I pity you, but like it sucks. Like that's just awful, and that's that's why a huge amount of people were and are as they're developing kind of turned off by the military. But a lot of people are not. A lot of people are interested in what it means to protect and serve, and what that really means in a national way.
Yeah, I'm sure you're wondering how we leapt into military culture yet again, because I do that all the time. But besides the whole propaganda aspect of things, which adds that layer, just automatically, as well as the greater context of warfare and the history of warfare in the human experience, I think I was jumping there because I tend to think, I wanted to recommend to anybody who is struggling with porn addiction, because it is a real problem, and it is in my opinion, it is a caused problem, a public health concern that has roots in systemic violence. And so to anyone struggling with that, if it helps to think of yourself as a warrior who is actively resisting that sort of unhealthy indoctrination, I don't know, that helps me, little keyboard warrior, but for porn. I know that's so silly, but written porn is so good, and there's so much good erotica out there. So it makes me sad that this is some of the first stuff that hit the global consciousness. Just again, for How Old This and other stories like it are. I don't know if you recognize this one, or if you recognize the formula, or if you're just not over here for erotica, but I don't know, it comes back to that chicken or the egg reflection, or reality, or picture, because a picture and a reflection are opposite things. They show opposite things, so which one are we looking at today? Okay, I'm going to start to transition in a new direction. Dedicating your life to something in a way that involves consistent training, in a way that involves teamwork and camaraderie. I also want to add on. I see all of these things come up in my books, of course. One of my favorites is Brandon Sanderson's Starless, I think? Starfall. I also want to point out who is not in the room in that ice cream parlor, right? Like what races, this socially constructed idea of race, what other races are not in the room. The power of Indigenous silence, I think, is such that to put an Indigenous person in this room in order to reinforce the violence done against Indigenous people would actually undermine a desire to reinforce that violence. Yep, and I wanted to jump in one more time and just say that's something I've noticed with these types of gangbang situations in which the white men's women are getting fucked by other races unwillingly, coercion, some situationship they're in. You absolutely can't have all representation in the room at the same time. It's really difficult, and you actually watch creators try to add different representations of stereotypes and cutouts and archetypes and all of these things to different scenes. Again, just centering this white male perspective, and you can see it. It's so constructed. It's anyone with knowledge of cinematography at this point of staging, which every TikTok video maker is now, right, can see the way that these narratives are centering certain things and reinforcing certain types of violence. So it's always really interesting to me when you're analyzing things like this to think about who isn't in the room and what kind of power do they have that, if it was in the room, would dispel the tension or the power that's building, or otherwise change the narrative. The way that violence is perpetuated against Indigenous perspectives and people is about erasure. It's about genocide. It is about killing the Indian and saving the man Indigenous schools. Then Canada persisted into the 70s. Or even the 90s, I think. I'm not the best historian. Reflection or reality or picture, because a picture and a reflection are opposite things. They show opposite things. I think there's dabble fishing at this point. But yeah, think about who is not in this ice cream parlor of hatred. And what that says about their power in resisting colonial violence and what we can learn from their strategies in that. We're not too racist to learn from people. Or ageist, or sexist, ableist, neurodivergencies, real. And it's a beautiful thing. It's basically a boy to start in, but it's a girl spaceship. It's great. Her dad's awesome. So it's wholesome. Yeah, my father's stories. Brandon Sanderson. I'm really glad. That was really good. And I'm also really wrecking Kristen Arden's Girl in the Tower series. Cannot wreck that enough. Please check it out. It's another great one if you want a good father-daughter relationship.
Oh, yeah, that one is really good.